Okay, so get this.
Mm-hmm.
You're 14 years old,
Okay.
and you have this like really creepy feeling like something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your sister disappears.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened to Celestina Ramirez
Oh, my
back
God.
in 1991.
Okay.
Her little sister, Claricia Castro, disappeared after a party.
Oh, no.
And her family has been looking for answers ever since.
That's terrible.
So today we are going to deep dive into Claricia's case
Okay.
to try to understand what happened that night.
Sounds good.
So this case is really interesting because it doesn't start with her going missing. It starts with a pretty scary discovery.
Okay.
So it's December 1991 in Southern California.
All right.
And this young boy is walking in the Otay River bottom,
Okay.
which is like this kind of remote area that's not really known for being safe.
Right.
And he finds a body wrapped in trash bags.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
it was already decomposing.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so the police were called. But they had a ton of questions right off the bat.
Right.
They can tell that the victim was young,
Mm-hmm.
like between 14 and 16 years old,
Okay.
but there was no ID on her,
Oh, no.
so they had no idea who she was.
So how were they supposed to figure out who she is and what happened?
Yeah, it's like trying to solve a puzzle without half the pieces.
Yeah.
Who was she? Where did she come from? Who would want to hurt her?
Right.
The police tried to match her to missing persons reports,
Of course.
but they couldn't find anything.
So what did they do?
Well, they tried everything.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the media and even created a clay model of her face,
Yeah.
hoping somebody would recognize her.
Right.
But nothing worked for years. There were no leads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then by 1994, the case was ice cold.
Gosh, can you imagine the family?
Oh, it's just awful.
Just not knowing.
It's like this constant torture.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for answers, but they never come.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. But then finally a sheriff's deputy thinks he might have found a connection.
Okay.
He thought that this unidentified girl might actually be Claricia Castro,
Oh, wow.
who had been reported missing back in 91.
Oh, okay.
They compared dental records,
Uh-huh.
and it was a match.
Wow. So that was a huge break in the case then.
Yeah, a huge break.
So how important are those missing persons databases?
Oh, they're so important.
Yeah.
Just one tiny detail can be the link
Right.
that connects cases and gives hope to families who have been waiting years for answers.
That's great.
So once they knew who she was, the investigation took a new turn.
Okay.
Now they needed to figure out her life.
Right.
Who was she and what led up to her death?
Right.
That's where her older sister, Celestina, became a big part of the case.
Okay.
She had filed the missing persons report in the first place, and she remembers the night of the party clearly.
Okay, so that eyewitness testimony is really valuable.
Super valuable.
Yeah.
Especially because she was so close to Clarice.
Yeah.
It can give you insight into her state of mind, her relationships, and maybe even clues about what happened.
Right.
Celestina told the police that she had this weird feeling,
Okay.
almost like a premonition, that something wasn't right that night.
Yeah.
She kept checking on Claricia all night long.
Oh, wow.
But then all of a sudden, Claricia vanished.
It's just so strange how she just disappeared like that. Like
Yeah.
1 minute she's there and the next she's gone.
Right, like she just vanished into thin air.
It's terrifying.
Totally.
Especially if you're her sister or parent
For sure.
or anybody who cares about her.
Yeah, as the investigators looked into Claricia's life, they realized that it wasn't a simple one.
Okay.
She was dealing with a difficult family situation, a recent move,
Okay.
and there were even rumors that she was involved with gangs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So this is where the case gets even more complicated.
totally.
It's not just about a missing person anymore. It's about understanding her environment.
Yeah, like was her death an accident or was it something more sinister?
Exactly.
Celestina told the police that Claricia had to take on a lot of responsibility at a young age.
Really?
Yeah, her mom was struggling with substance abuse,
Oh, wow.
and she had to take care of her younger siblings.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they moved to this new neighborhood
Yeah.
with a lot of dangers.
Right.
Yeah, it's really sad. She was just a kid trying to survive in a difficult world.
That's awful.
I know.
So who are the people in her life?
Right.
Her friends
No.
who might have wanted to hurt her.
Exactly. So the night of the party is really important.
Okay.
So we know that Claricia got into a fight with two girls, and then she came back inside really upset.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And told her younger sister not to open the door for anybody.
It's like she knew something bad was going to happen.
Right. Like she was already afraid of something.
Yeah, that's really scary. So
Yeah.
in the next part, we're going to try to figure out exactly what happened that night.
Yeah, and try to piece together the events leading up to Claricia's disappearance.
Sounds good.
Because that's going to help us understand this whole mystery.
For sure.
So we left off with Claricia being scared that night and
Mhm.
having that fight with those two girls.
Yeah, the police wanted to know more about those girls.
Right, like were they involved with gangs?
Uh-huh. That's where their attention went next.
Okay.
And it turns out there was maybe like a love triangle going on
Oh, wow.
between Claricia and this gang member named Charlie.
Really?
Jealousy can be so dangerous,
Oh,
especially when you throw gangs into the mix.
Yeah, it's like something out of a movie.
Right.
Like a teenage love triangle gone wrong.
Yeah.
So did the police think Charlie was involved?
Well, he definitely became a person of interest,
Right.
but that's where things got really tough.
How so?
Nobody wanted to talk.
Oh, so that code of silence?
Yeah, that wall of silence.
That's just impossible to break through.
Yeah, people are scared of what might happen if they say something. It just
Exactly.
makes it so difficult to investigate.
Even if somebody saw something that night, they'd be too afraid to come forward.
Absolutely.
So the police hit a dead end.
Yeah, it happens a lot with these types of cases.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, years went by and the case went cold.
And Clarice's family was left without any answers.
It's heartbreaking.
Totally. But then something amazing happened.
Really?
Yeah, this retired Sergeant Bob Conrad decided to take another look at the case.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, he really wanted to help her family.
That's awesome.
This was in 2003.
Okay.
And he started by going back to the beginning.
So he talked to Celestina again?
And her mother.
Wow.
And even Clarice's little sister.
Wow, she was only 6 at the time.
Right.
It's amazing she even remembered anything.
I know. So did he learn anything new?
Yeah, he did.
Wow, that's incredible.
Time can do funny things to memory.
Yeah. Sometimes you forget things and other times you remember things you had forgotten about.
Right, and in this case, Clarice's little sister remembered something she hadn't said before.
Really? Like what?
Well, now that she was an adult, she remembered hearing a car honking outside their house that night.
Oh, okay.
And she saw 2 men in a dark car.
Oh, wow.
So maybe Claricia left with these men willingly.
So maybe it wasn't the gang.
Well, not so fast.
Mm,
Remember, Claricia was scared that night.
right.
What if she was forced to go with them?
Oh, yeah.
Or threatened?
That's true.
Maybe those men were part of the gang or connected to Charlie somehow.
So Bob had a lot more to think about.
Yeah, it just added another layer to an already complex case.
So what did he do with this new information?
Well, Bob was determined to use everything at his disposal.
Mm.
You know, technology was changing quickly back then.
Yeah, this is 2003.
Right, so he was hoping to find fingerprints on the trash bags and the tape from the crime scene.
Using that fancy technology.
Yeah, it's called vacuum metal deposition.
Oh, yeah, like in those CSI shows?
Exactly. It can find fingerprints even on surfaces that you wouldn't think possible.
Did it work?
Sadly, no.
Oh, man.
It was another setback, but Bob wasn't giving up.
Good for him. What did he try next?
Well, in 2006, a local news station ran a story about Claricia's case.
Oh, those can be so helpful.
They can.
Sometimes they lead to new tips.
Yeah, or new witnesses.
Exactly.
And that's what happened in this case.
Really?
Yeah, Claricia's sister saw the news report, and it triggered some more memories.
Wow. So what did she remember this time?
Well, she remembered that Claricia had a bloody nose after that fight with the 2 girls.
Oh, wow.
And she even grabbed some knives
Oh.
and told her younger siblings not to answer the door.
She was really scared.
It definitely sounds like she knew something bad was coming.
It's so sad.
But even with these new memories, the case was still unsolved.
Man, that's so frustrating.
It really is, but then Bob thought of one more thing. DNA evidence.
Oh, yeah. That can be huge for cold cases. So did he find any?
Well, in 2015, while Bob was reading through the case files again,
Okay.
he noticed something about Claricia's fingernails.
Like what?
They had been collected during the autopsy.
Oh, wow.
So he reached out to the medical examiner's office to see if they could be tested, but there was a problem.
What happened?
The nails had been contaminated when the facility moved,
Oh, no.
and they said they were unusable.
Are you kidding me?
I know, it's such a crushing blow.
So even with all the new technology and Bob's effort, it seemed like the case would never be solved.
Yeah, it was looking that way.
I mean, that's just heartbreaking,
It really is.
to be so close
Yeah.
to a real break in the case
Mm-hmm.
and then just have it snatched away.
Right.
But I feel like there's still some hope here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's always hope.
There's always a chance.
Yeah.
Did they, like, totally give up on the DNA?
No, not really.
Okay.
Even though the nails were contaminated.
They might still be able to get some usable DNA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
Technology is always getting better.
Yeah, that's true.
What was impossible a few years ago might be totally possible now.
That's amazing.
It is, and I bet they're working on that right now.
Gosh, just imagine if they had taken better care of those nails.
Right.
Or if technology had been better back then.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd already have answers.
It's a tough thought.
It's a really tough thought.
Yeah, but it also shows you just how important it is to handle evidence properly
Yeah.
and how much forensic science can really help these cold cases.
Exactly. And it's also amazing to see people like Bob Conrad
Yeah,
who just never give up,
totally.
even when it seems impossible.
That's why we do this deep dive, because there's always somebody out there
Yeah,
who could have the answer.
exactly. Maybe they were at that party in 1991,
Yeah.
or they knew Claricia,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they heard something later on.
It doesn't matter how small it seems. Even the tiniest detail could be important.
Right, like a piece of a puzzle.
Exactly.
It helps us see the whole picture.
So if you know anything about Claricia Castro, anything at all,
Please contact the Chula Vista Police Department
yeah, you could help bring justice for Clarissa.
and help her family finally get some closure.
That's right.
That's just so sad to think about.
I know, it really is.
All these unsolved cases,
Yeah.
all those families out there with questions.
But there's always hope.
That's true.
Bob Conrad proves that.
He really did.
And we should never forget that every life matters.
Yeah,
Every victim deserves justice.
for sure.
So let's keep sharing these stories and keep these memories alive.
Yeah, maybe that's how we'll finally find the answers.
Yeah, maybe that's how we'll finally find the answers.
Maybe that's how we'll bring those responsible to justice.
Wow. This has been quite a journey.
It has.
We went into some dark places,
Yeah.
but it's also really inspiring
It
to see how resilient people can be.
and how dedicated they are to finding the truth.
Yeah, and it makes you realize that even after all these years, Clarissa's case still matters.
It does.
And maybe by talking about it,
Mm,
we can finally bring her some peace.
that's what we hope for.